Back gotta give another video, man. Hey, look, this video is kind of just like my thoughts, per se, rather than like a structured video where like I'm actually getting a point across. So if you watch me or you personally a supporter, or even if this video just comes, across you and you just happen to watch me yap for however long the video will be, thank you and God bless you. Lately, bro, I just been like these last couple of days. My birthday was Saturday, and you know, I just been like doing things, living, traveling, and for the first time, bro, I feel like I kind of like got into the world per se, right? Like, I went to this bar, like I was taking shots and shit, like occasionally throughout the day, and I just was doing different things, you know, and like personally, bro, I'm very much a closed off, like to myself, very like I'm very much an individual who's like very purpose oriented and very much in tune with my world, which allows me to be very spiritually engraved in the outer world, if that makes sense, because of my discernment on myself. So basically, like, I said all that to say is like, I felt like I looked at life recently from like two sides of the coin, if that makes sense. Like, I've been able to look at life recently from the aspect of, okay, I understand why people are running. I understand why people are escaping. I understand why people are not facing themselves, not facing their trauma, not speaking their truth, not being authentic, right? And putting this mask on. And, kind of like when you're in your own world, even though you're on earth with everybody else, people that can understand what I'm saying get it. But what happens is you kind of get closed off to certain things. Like when you're in your lane and you're just driving in your car and you're just focused on you, you're not really paying too much attention to what's going on in the world. You're not really paying too much attention of external things. You're not really feeding things, because we know that we're always getting harvested, right? We're always getting ate on, and, if then, what I'm saying? If you don't, then you feel me? But it's like when I did those things, it just made me take a seat back to realize that it was like, oh shit, like, bro, this is not me. And the funny thing about it is like, it's not necessarily like the late nights, the partying, the endocrine system disrupting, the degenerate aspect of it, like the consistency of it. It's like, bro, like, I think the scariest thing about being self-aware is, or, having a sense of self is, and I was talking to my homie about this too. We actually had a long conversation about it. It was like, there's no turning back, bro. And I think the scariest thing about this is like, when you hear this is like, oh, you think you're trapped in a certain ideal, or you think you're one dimensional, or you think that like, you can't travel, you can't open yourself up to opportunities, or no, like that's not even the case, bro. The case of the matter is, or like the fact is more of, when you're walking your divine purpose, when you're focused on yourself, when you're not really feeding your attention to too many things, when you're not really off-putting yourself to too many things, when you're not necessarily, being manipulative, a degenerate, someone who is just consistently in spaces and things that don't serve them, whether you're aware of these things or not, what happens is when your light bulb turns on, you're constantly aware of your decisions, like times 2 to 3, right? Like, for example, if I was to throw a rock at something and it hit somebody, I would now know brain-wise, right? Like my brain would pick up that this is wrong, right? Do it to a corrective action, right? And it's just like behavioral adaptation. So for example, if I'm seeing trauma throughout my lifetime, I'm not really being loved correctly. So going forward and becoming an adult, I don't know how to love correctly, right? But not only is that a fact of the matter, I'm on socials all day and I'm getting so many different perceptions, perspectives, ideals, and all of these glitz and glamour things that, in the real world don't really transpire and materialize the way that I see them on my phone, right? So I think my biggest thing recently, it was just like, bro, I'm like, yo, I've been alone, and I'm not really You know, being honest, bro, like I don't really care about being alone. I'm fine with being alone, but I think my biggest thing is just like when you're chosen, bro, and you know your purpose and you're walking in it, you got to be very, very, very decisive where you place that energy, bro. And whether if that's like open yourself up portal wise, whether if it's sex, whether if it's even drinking, whether if it's, you know, being up late at night, whether if it's exchanging any form, it could be a conversation, right? Some conversations are uplifting, some conversations are draining, right? And everything is based off of energy because we're energetic beings, right? It's like even like positivity, right? Having a glow, being high vibrational. These aren't just like key words like on some TikTok shit. This is like, you know, who you are as a being. Like there's certain people who are just low vibration. Like they're literally like low in resonant frequency. They're just like low on a, like on, if you look at a scale, right? And it's not an inferior, superior thing. It's just more of like people operate on disrespect. People operate on manipulation. People operate on, you know, like degeneracy and all of these different things. And what happens is like these things start to become like encompassing thing, right? Like, you know, you're so used to being taken advantage of that all you do now is take advantage of people. You are so used to being mistreated that all you do now is mistreat people. You are so used to not being loved correctly that all you know how to do is fuck people over. And it's like, I think certain people will objectify me and say that that's not necessarily the case because what's wrong is wrong, is right. But if all you're seeing your entire life is one way, right? You don't even know that there's a such thing as an expressway. You don't even know that there is a divided highway. You wouldn't even have self-awareness enough to realize that there's another way to go, right? Because if there's only one way and you've been taught that there's only one way, you're gonna consistently keep going that one way, right? For like however long you do it or forever long you tap in, right? And I was talking to my homie about this too. It's like, you know, don't feel like you're missing out on anything, right? When you choose to walk in righteousness, when you choose to walk your path, you know, like when you choose to just completely be yourself authentically, right? Whether if you're doing this alone, whether if you're doing this with your partner, whether if you're doing this with a peer, a business partner, whatever the case may be, right? Less is always more, right? Less noise is always better, right? There's a reason why when it's all loud, when you're partying, when you're consumed, talking to so many people, when your energy's in 50 different directions, that you have to meditate. You have to zen yourself, right? Some people can operate off of chaos and it can get them more work done in an efficient manner. But the opposite negative of that is your nervous system is begging for help, right? You may be getting migraines, headaches, right? You may not just be regulated correctly, which could lead to chronic illness, a number of things, right? So there's always a flip side of everything, and there's no such thing as being perfect, but there's such thing as equilibrium as well though, right? And I'm not making this video to tear nobody down. I'm not even making this video to call anybody out on what they've been doing because that's not my place. What I'm doing is I'm giving you the opportunity and letting you know that it's okay, and it's just me being truly authentic when I'm saying this shit, to be the most boring person in the room, right? It's the, bro, I swear to God, living life, getting new opportunities, meeting new people, right? Doing things you've never done before is a great thing, and they should be done, right? But what I'm saying is when you're walking your path, when you're waking up every single day, right? You got a choice, right? The choice isn't to be perfect. The choice isn't to be an ideal of social media. It isn't even to be an ideal of what you may think of yourself. It's to be the highest version of yourself, right? And I wrestle with that for so long. I wrestle with the ideal version of myself, and I wrestle with the highest version of myself. And for so long, bro, I thought I was losing life because the ideal version of myself is doing this. The ideal version of myself is saying this. The ideal version of myself is having this possession. But the highest version of myself is healing. The highest version of myself is grossing. The highest version of myself is in tune. The highest version of myself is walking with God. The highest version of myself is doing the work. The highest version of myself is happy, is regulated. And you know, it's kind of like we hear those things and it's like it isn't as flattering as like a new car. It isn't as flattering as like dopamine hit. It isn't as flattering as like a party. It isn't as flattering as like now, right? You notice that all the things that I just said on the con, right, have a now connotation. You want the dopamine hit now. You want the money now. You want the attention now. You want the fame. You want all of these different things, right, that really don't serve you in a longevity standpoint. You want all that shit right now. And I'm not even saying that you having these desires is wrong. What I'm saying is when it all falls down, right, and you got to wake up every day and look at yourself in the mirror, right? If you have yourself being at the highest height of what you possibly could be, whether that be you being an artist, whether that be a painter, whether that be being a construction worker, whether that be you owning a construction company, you know what I'm saying? Whether that be you being a content creator, whether that be you traveling the world, like whatever it is, right? Think of yourself at the highest height and ask yourself, what integrity do I need to uphold these things, right? Like, how do my morals uplift whatever I'm trying to do, right? Because sometimes we do the opposite. It's like, I want to be the greatest in the world, but I want to throw away my foundation. You're going to come tumbling down, right? And we wonder why we see certain people who shoot up really fast, who get success, who are at the highest of the height, but then they see, like, you just see themselves just get lost in everything. You see themselves lose themselves in it all. You see themselves become a shell of themselves, right? And when there's no foundation, nothing can thrive, whether that's a business, a friendship, a partnership, whether that be romantically, platonic, whatever the case may be. The foundation comes first, bro. So you're going to become everything that God has in store for you, bro. It's already written, the way I see it. We already wrote our destinies and our contracts before we came here. A lot of people are in karmic debt. A lot of people are in incarnation cycles. A lot of people are living out, you know, their ancestral lineage, whether that be trauma, whether that be a numerous number of things, but that's something you got to figure out for you. But what I'm basically saying is like, when you're living this life, bro, and you're waking up every single day, you get a choice. You get a choice to pour into your cup spiritually. You get a chance to pour into your cup physically, right? You get a chance to pour into your cup mentally. You get a chance to pour into your cup, you know what I'm saying, whether that be a trip, whether that be a walk in nature, you know what I'm saying, whether that be whatever puts you in the highest height of your frequency and makes you happy, you know, and whatever makes you the most freest, whatever makes you the most authentic, whatever gives you the ability to be as close to God as humanly possible, you got to walk towards it, bro. Because what happens is we don't realize is like when we try to play both sides, it's going to feel like we're playing tug of war, right? When we want to be in the world and we want everything the world has for us, we're going to be gripping onto that shit, right? Because it's slipping out of our hands. Because if you want God, right? If you know, and I'm just using this for an example. If you know everything that came behind just using religion, Christianity as an example, then you would know that this is a very hard, right, less flattering walk, right? Rather than you having everything that you want, it being easy, no trial, no tribulation, no adversity, right? Not losing anybody, you know, having just the world being perfect, you know, your life being damn near perfect, right? And it's a part of you also, right, that knows that you want to be free spiritually, right? But then there's a part of you that's like, I want the world. I want the desires. I want everything that it has. I want it all, right? I want to be an encompassing number of things, right? But then there's another side of you that's like, can I have those things and also be in Christ? Can I have these things and also be in God? Can I have these things while also being disciplined, discerned, and etc., right? And I know I'm not the only person that feels like this, which is why I'm making this video, right? It's like, you don't have to choose, bro. And I think so many people give you the stigma of you have to choose. My definition of what this is when you choose to be somebody, this is the path that you walk down, bro. Like, if you choose, right, to be somebody you're proud of, right? This could be you working through an addiction, right? This could be you coming out of a toxic relationship. This could be you finally opening your Bible. This could be you just finding yourself spiritually. It doesn't even have to be based off of religion, bro. It doesn't. It could just be in general. This could be you fasting, This could be you cleansing. This could be you detox. This could be a number of things, right? And when you choose to do those things, what's gonna happen is naturally the things that are not for you are gonna become very bitter. They're gonna become very sour. They're gonna become very like, it's not gonna have that same dopamine spike that it once had. It's not gonna have that same emotion that it once conveyed. It's not gonna give you that thrill, right? That we all are looking for sometimes. But what's gonna happen is when you go into your place of peace and to your place of solace, right? Into your prayer closet, to all of these, things that everybody has to have as human beings, especially living on earth, to be at, to be at their highest version of themselves, you're naturally going to lose your grip on what you once wanted, right? And I think nobody talks about this and gives it like the depth it needs, gives it what's the word I'm looking for? Gives it the, appropriate measure, because I think everybody's like, you just gotta choose, you gotta boom, you gotta boom, you gotta but. And I think there's a lot of people that are necessarily trying to tell you something that, because they've been in the same shoes, they're trying to correct you. And I'm like, bro, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to crucify you, bro. That's not my place, right? I'm here to be a vessel. We're all vessels, right? And what I'm saying is bro, like I have been there, and me being there, bro, I'm telling you, it's like, you're never gonna fully be able to be in the world, bro, when you're a chosen one. Because what's gonna happen is these worldly desires, these worldly people even, right? These wants, these things that everybody thinks that they need. When you walk in a room, you're gonna light it up, right? When you walk in these low vibrational states, when you're around low vibrational people, entities, it ain't even just human, shit get deep. You're gonna light up the room. You're gonna be very much a breath of fresh air. You're gonna be very much something that's not common. And I'm not even saying, okay, if that's the case, you gotta hide yourself from the world, right, and never come outside. What I'm saying is you gotta choose who you have around you wisely. You gotta choose your circle wisely. You gotta choose the things that you put in your body wisely, right? You have to choose where you place your attention wisely, because even your attention is getting ate off of. Everything is feeding off of everything, bro. We are living in an energy world, right? Everything is energy, right? Everything wants something from you, right? Why do you think everything in the world wants a man to, you feel me? Why do you think everything, right, in the world wants you to convey some type of feeling, right? Whether that be happiness, sadness, frustration, anger, all of these things, right? If you know, you know. But what I'm basically saying in totality is live your life and be happy, bro. And do it the way you want to do it, right? If this causes you to lose certain people, right, who are probably pulling you down anyway, if this causes you to walk a very narrow path that's not really exciting, but you're serving your purpose, bro, be happy with that, bro. If this causes you, right, to become something that you knew you could be in your mind, that you foresaw, that you dreamed about, right? Walk a path that is meant for you, bro. Please. And I'm begging you of this shit, bro. And this is the last thing I'm gonna say. Do not let the things around you, the things that you've seen, right, the things that you've been told, depict your reality, bro. Live in delusion, right? And I'll say this shit again. The only way to become what you are trying to become, right? And I don't even know what you're trying to become, but you know what you're trying to become because you already are it, right? You have to live in complete delusion. You have to live in complete confidence. You have to live in complete certainty that this is exactly what you want, that this is exactly what's happening, that this is exactly what it is. Because the moment that you snap out of it, the moment that you come back to earth, the moment that you bite the bullet of reality, which is saying that you got to get a 9-to-5 and work it for the rest of your life and you can't do anything that's contributing to the world, right? You never can change your finances, your family's lineage finances. You never can create generational wealth. You never can get on stage. You never can sing. You never can perform, right? You never can create art. You never can do these things that you know that you can do, that you've been doing, that you've been thinking about doing, that you've been dreaming about doing, that you've been manifesting to do, right? The world is going to make you exactly what it wants to make you, right? But God wants you to be exactly who he wants you to be. So you see how these two things contrast and conflict each other, right? You have a decision to make, right? But the thing about the decision is when it comes down, right, to you waking up in the mirror every day, right, and seeing who you want to be and seeing who's looking in front of you. That's the choice that you're making, bro. And that's how I'm gonna end the video off, bro. You're gonna look in the mirror every single day. And this is me talking to myself too, bro, because I ain't perfect. Nigga, I ain't no motherfucking prophet. We're all humans. We're all existing. We're all here every single day. We're all living this shit, bro. Nobody's better than the other. Nobody's above another, bro. Like, we're all just figuring this shit out every single day, bro. We're just small specks in this grand scheme of the universe, bro. Nobody is bigger than nobody. Nobody is a giant here, bro. No, bro. It's not even about that. Those are just words, bro. We're all vessels of God. We're all children of God, bro. Like, we're all entities here on a mission, on a purpose, right? And we were orchestrated. Some have complete focus. Some have complete certainty of what that is. Some are figuring it out. Some are completely lost. Doesn't matter. If you're watching this video, something resonated with you, right? So that's already a confirmation. If you're watching this video, right, something in your spirit is letting you know that it's your time, right? If you are watching this video, right, no matter where you are on God's green earth, you already know what time it is. You already know what you are. You already know what you need to be doing, right? So my advice to you, bro, is live, is laugh, is love. Whether if that's yourself, whether if that's you traveling alone, whether if it's with friends, whether if it's with family, right? Whether if it's with whatever, bro, whatever the case may be, whether if it's you sitting with yourself, right? Whatever you need to be doing, right, to get to the highest version of you every day, to get to that 1% that individuals talk about, do it, bro. Love it, experience it. Like, really take that shit in, bro. And don't give a fuck about being famous. Don't give a fuck about, oh, I gotta make it. You're gonna make it, bro. Just keep putting in the work. You're gonna get everything that's owed to you, bro. The universe doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about what are you actively doing. Are you holding the door of integrity open? Are you morally, like, ingrained in who you are? Do you fold up under the smallest circumstances or inconveniences, right? Or do you muscle it out, right? You muscle it up, you feel me? And you walk your path and you be discerned and you be prosperous in that alignment. I love y'all, man. I'm out. Thank you for listening to me, Yap. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking in this message. I'm out, man. I'm gone.